they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, let's get ready to get into it. I actually pre-recorded this video, then I decided to go live. So anyway, with that all being said, Trump has just plunged us into World War III, just so you know, after he sat there and vowed that he would not take us to war. Well, that's exactly what he's just done. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. And again, this is the pre-recorded video that I'll be showing. I was going to upload it, but I was having some technical difficulties, and it was taking so long to upload. I said, I'll just go live. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Shout out to all of my loyal royals in the chat and everyone tuned into the Queen. And also shout out to my moderators putting in work. Okay, let's get into it.
I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, with rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city.
All right, hello everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators for putting in work. So before we get started, as per usual, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so with that all being said, don't forget to purchase 12 Tribes oil for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it, because what has you all's president done? okay, possibly started and set off World War III. Okay, so let's talk about it. And if you all remember, I told you all months ago that Trump was trying to start a war with Iran. Okay, with that all being said, let's get into it. Let's get into it because here's what they're saying. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. So let's talk about the latest developments. American warplanes and submarines attacked three key nuclear sites in Iran early this morning, bringing the U.S. military directly into Israel's war and prompting fears that the strikes could lead to more dangerous escalations across the Middle East. Now, President Trump said the objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity. He claimed success, saying in a televised address from the White House that the nuclear facilities have been completely obliterated. Okay? Now let's go to him addressing the nation to hear what he has to say about it all. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you.
God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's number one sponsor of terror. And I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They've been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the
All right, so you all heard that. Now, you all heard that, right? He said they've been a threat to Israel all this time. But so, I'm sorry, Trump. When were they saying all these things about death to America? Do you all remember that? And then he's talking about General Soleimani. As you may recall, Trump had this man taken out in 2020. Okay. Remember that huge procession to the funeral with millions and millions of people? This man was so loved. And there were supposed threats on Trump's head afterward. Now, I don't know about you all, but I absolutely think that Trump is taking us into World War III. Okay. Trump is out here doing the most, getting involved in stuff that shouldn't have anything to do with the United States, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I digress. Let's let him finish.
the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. We'll have a press conference at 8 a.m. I want to thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Well, y'all heard that. He's sitting up there bragging, so braggadocious. No other military could have done this. And Trump really thinks he's done something. And then saying that if there isn't peace, there'll be more attacks and they'll be a whole lot easier. Okay, so he expects this to bring peace. He thinks Iran isn't going to come striking back. Is this end of it? Now we're supposed to be at peace. That's what he's saying. Well, I find it all interesting because you see, they're saying that there's going to be consequences and repercussions, okay, that could last for quite some time. And in fact, could be everlasting if I'm to quote them correctly. Okay, with that all being said, let's get into it because I don't know, but I don't think this was a good idea as far as I'm concerned. Now let's get into it. Trump claims U.S. obliterated Iran's nuclear sites as Tehran warns of consequences. Iran could resort to cyber attacks or terrorism to. Now, two military analysts have said Iran could resort to asymmetric measures such as terrorism or cyber attacks to retaliate against the United States because Israeli attacks have reduced Iran's military capabilities, saying, I think that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is probably trying to figure out what capabilities it has left. Now, this is what CNN national security analyst David Sanger said, saying also that it can shoot missiles. But in October, the Israelis took out the equipment that's needed to actually make new sorted solid fuel for those missiles. So every one they shoot off is an asset that they can't really replace. Okay? Now, the IRGC is a branch of Iranian military that was established in the aftermath of the country's revolution in 1979 and reports directly to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, saying, I think that the RIGC is going to be a bit careful, and I suspect that's going to take us to all of the asymmetric things they can do. Cyber terrorism. I think they're probably going to be looking for things where the U.S. cannot just put up the traditional defenses, he says. Honey, Trump is about to have a whole lot of issues. Okay, he thinks that's just the end of it, which I find very interesting. Now, similarly, retired Major General James Spider Marks, the head of geopolitical strategy at Academy Securities, an investment bank, told CNN Israel did a pretty good job of damaging Iran's capacity to launch its rather robust missile inventory. But albeit wounded, the IRGC still has some tremendous capacity, he says. It has capabilities that are already within the region and then outside the region. We're vulnerable around the world where the IRGC has either influence or it can make things happen asymmetrically, he says. However, Mark says that the United States is aware and prepared for that and could potentially get ahead of it beyond or before any of those possibilities can be realized. Are y'all hearing this? What do y'all have to say about it all? Now, Iran's response. Iran's foreign minister accused the U.S. of crossing a very big red line and said he does not know how much room is left for diplomacy. Other Iranian leaders are downplaying the impact to Tehran's nuclear program. The world awaits an official response from Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Interesting. Now, escalating conflict. The U.S. bombing came as the Israel-Iran conflict entered the second week of back and forth attacks. Israel's military said Iran feared a fresh wave of missiles toward the country. Now, I want you all to pay attention because if you all remember that video that I did months ago, right after the election, where Trump, I told you that Trump had declared himself, in fact, the king of Israel. Okay? So I'm not surprised that this is all going on because didn't we know it? Didn't we see it coming? I told you all. Now, with that all being said, there are some people that were injured by the airstrikes, okay? And they spoke to CNN from their hospital beds in Tehran. This is all going to be real bad real soon, okay? So the Israeli military has repeatedly said it's only targeted military installations. It only targeted military installations. Yet the Iranian government insists that there have been more than 400 deaths, and the majority of these people were still civilians. Now, CNN's Fred Pletskin visited a hospital in the Iranian capital of Tehran to hear the residents who were injured in the airstrikes. So let's get into that. Everyone. Before we get into that, let's answer Andrew's question. Andrew says, does anyone even in here know about the USS Liberty? Yes, absolutely, beloved. That was a Belmont class technical research ship, okay, from the United States Navy. Now, with that all being said, it was basically known for the incident that happened on June the 8th of 1967 during the Six-Day War. Okay, the ship was attacked by Israeli Air Force and Navy units in international waters off the coast of I believe it was the Sinai Peninsula. But Trump has lost his mind. He's sitting here being braggadocious, and does he not realize that he's already been in hot water with Putin lately for his remarks? But also, Putin has Iran's back. What is Trump thinking? Okay, what is he thinking? And then he's trying to justify his BS. Okay, by saying that they've been saying death to the United States for years, for 40 years, and all of this. Well, you mean to tell me they said these things, but no other president thought to do anything about it? But let's continue. Lights up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Now I'm going to share my screen. They said only military installations. Well, apparently that isn't true. So let's get into it.
Strikes and thousands of it's so while the Israelis say that they are only targeting while the Israelis say that they are only targeting military installations, the Iranians say the vast majority of people who have been killed and wounded are actually civilians. And we've been touring hospitals here in the Tehran area, and we've been hearing the stories of some of the people who were wounded in Israel's strike, and so we're going to visit some of them now. Something exploded in front of me. It hit my head, my stomach, and my leg. Somebody took me to a clinic. My kitten went to the window and I went to grab it. There was a blast, Nasreen says. I was thrown and hit the wall. The whole building was empty. I just barely made it to the door. Neighbors called emergency services and they brought me to the hospital. I've had 5 operations in my abdomen area, my kidney, my liver. Iranian authorities tell us well over 400 people have been confirmed to have been killed in Israel's strikes and thousands of people were wounded. They also say because the conflict is still ongoing and there could still be mass casualties, that they're actually freeing up additional capacities in their hospitals of hospital beds. At the same time, I'm able to speak to the things that
years war with Saddam Hussein's regime, and in that period our surgeons, our physicians are very well trained for the trauma patients management, and I'm certain too. And at that time I was a medical student and I was in the battlefield as a healthcare worker, so most of us are very familiar with the war.
So what This conflict is far.
The United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people.
Well, it was a very strong reaction. It was very deliberate. It was couched national language regarding the, as he said, violating the UN Charter, being a sovereign and independent nation for no reason, especially, he said, when they thought they were in the midst, in his words, of an idea, i.e. negotiations that existed for peaceful settlement of this question.
This is the first it's also the first time that we've used the massive ordnance penetrator in combat, in any type of combat operation.
The Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP, is 20.5 feet long, weighs about 30,000 pounds, and it can strike a deeply buried target after multiple impacts with pinpoint accuracy. And the only plane that can carry it is the B-2.
When you look at the total of the ordnance, it was 360,000 pounds that were used against the Fordo facility by itself, and then another 60,000 pounds on Natanz. So when you take all that together, 420,000 pounds of ordnance, then you add the Tomahawk missiles, about 30 or so. That is a massive show of firepower against two of Iran's nuclear facilities. And it is pretty clear that the goal of what both the Israelis were trying to do is to actually do their best to cripple the nuclear program that Iran has right now. So this is a significant milestone in the whole issue between the United States and Iran when it comes to the nuclear power and the nuclear weapons aspect of things. And it's also a show of force that the United States has used against the Iranians. And that is something that has not been as overt as this particular operation was.
All right, so I find that all very interesting. I find that all very interesting. I want you all to pay attention. And now here's what they're saying. Like, sub, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. So let's get into it. Because here. Okay, TC Dan says, Queen, I assume that you heard about the Speaker Emerita of Minnesota House of Reps and her husband deleted by a right-wing cuckoo. He had a list too. Yes, I absolutely heard about that last week. I didn't report on it because I was busy with the whole Diddy thing, but I absolutely heard about that, beloved. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I do apologize for the audio issues. There's really not much I can do about it. Okay, there has, when I was pre-recording this, it was trying to storm over here. It was thundering and all of that. And so the internet connection wasn't as strong as it could have been. But with that all being said, let's just get through it. Here's what they're saying. President Trump's display of peace through strength. Okay, this is a report from the White House. I'm going to share my screen. Trump is playing some dangerous games. And I want you to pay attention because Trump is such a liar. Trump said that they have been threatening us and killing our people and all of this for 40 years. Isn't that what he said? So no other president thought to do anything about it. They just let it all ride. I find that very interesting, okay? Clearly, Trump isn't telling the truth. And then he's talking about blowing off arms and all these things and their hate and this, that, and the third. Okay. He will say and do anything to try to excuse or justify his nefarious actions. And the fact of the matter is, these people were supposedly in negotiations just days ago before all of this. So Trump is just full of bull as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Now, I told you all months ago that Trump was going to take us directly into World War III. And that's exactly what he's doing. Okay. He is a madman, a lawless person. Okay. Just taking control, acting as a whole dictator, doing whatever he wants, not thinking about anybody else but himself and his billionaire friends. And also a certain segment that he is trying to please. Okay. And we all know what that is. So, with that all being said, also, Dan, thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. Swift said if he's talking, he's lying. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely, beloved. I absolutely agree. So, anyway, President Donald Trump's bold, decisive action against Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, and its key nuclear facilities was met with bipartisan praise from lawmakers across Capitol Hill. Speaker Mike Johnson says the president made the right call and did what he needed to do. Leaders in Congress were aware of the urgency of the situation, and the commander in chief evaluated that the imminent danger outweighed the time that it would take for Congress to act. Now, the world's largest sponsor of terrorism, which chants death to America, simply could not be allowed the opportunity to obtain and use nuclear weapons. The president fully respects the Article 1 power of Congress, and tonight's necessary, limited, and targeted strike follows the history and tradition of similar military actions under presidents of both the parties. Now, here's what Senate Majority Leader John Thune said. Says the regime in Iran, which has committed itself to bringing death to America and wiping Israel off the map, has rejected all diplomatic pathways to peace. The mullah's misguided pursuit of nuclear weapons must be stopped. As we take action tonight to ensure a nuclear weapon remains out of reach for Iran, I stand with President Trump and pray for the American troops and personnel in harm's way. Well, who put them in harm's way? Okay, besides Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying. Now, I think this is absolutely egregious. And Iran has said there's going to be everlasting consequences. And I absolutely believe it. And if Donald Trump thinks that there's going to be peace after this, that nothing's going to happen, there's going to be no consequences, well, he really needs to think again. Okay, that's what he needs to do. Because I don't think this was a good idea at all. Now, an hour ago, it was reported that the U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear sites has fueled fears that Israel's war with Tehran could escalate into a wider regional conflict, and other countries reacted Sunday with calls for diplomacy and words of caution. President Trump had said Thursday that he would decide within 2 weeks whether to get involved. In the end, it took just days, and Washington inserted itself into Israel's campaign with its early local time Sunday attack. Now, it remained unclear early on how much damage had been inflicted, but Mr. Trump lauded the massive precision strikes on 3 key nuclear assemblies in the Iranian regime, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, as a spectacular military success. Iran had pledged to retaliate if the U.S. joined the Israeli assault. President Trump reiterated his stern warning to the Islamic Republic on Saturday night against targeting any U.S. assets in the region. Some had questioned whether a weakened Iran would capitulate or remain defiant and begin striking with allies at its U.S. targets scattered across the Gulf region. There are roughly 40,000 American troops deployed in the Middle East, many of them based within easy striking distance of Iran's missiles, although its stockpile of such weapons has been depleted by a week of Israeli attacks. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke following the strikes. And they basically say Netanyahu praised the president for conducting the strikes, saying President Trump and I often say peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace, he said. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. Israeli President Isaac Herzog, in a post on social media, called the U.S. strikes a moment when the principles of liberty, responsibility, and security have triumphed, a decisive moment between the axis of terror and evil and the axis of hope. He thanked the U.S. and President Trump specifically, saying this brave step serves the security and safety of the entire free world. I hope it will lead to a better future for the Middle East and help advance the urgent release of our hostages held in captivity in Gaza. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Arghachi said that in accordance with the United States or the United Nations Charter and its provisions, Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interests, and people. Arkachi said that the U.S. had committed a grave violation of the UN Charter with its attack on Iran. And in subsequent statements posted on social media, he accused Trump and the Trump administration of having decided to blow up diplomatic efforts, saying that last week we were in negotiations with the U.S. when Israel decided to blow up that diplomacy. This week we held talks with the EU and the E3 or the E3 EU when the U.S. decided to blow up that diplomacy. What conclusion would you draw? To Britain and the EU high rep, it is Iran which must return to the table. But how can Iran return to something it never left, let alone blew up? In a statement, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said Sunday that with its strikes, the U.S. had practically placed itself at the forefront of aggression by directly attacking peaceful facilities. But Trump says they've been shouting death to the U.S. and blowing off people's arms and legs. Okay, please pay attention. Now, it alluded to plans to attack U.S. assets in the Middle East, saying the number, dispersion, and size of U.S. military bases in the region are not a strength, but have doubled their vulnerability. The IRGC said its attacks on Israel will continue precisely, purposefully, and fiercely, and that the U.S.'s decision to join Israel's strikes would see it use options beyond the understanding and illusory calculations of the aggressor, promising unspecified, regrettable responses. Please pay attention. It's about to go down. Now, speaking to reporters later Sunday in Istanbul, Turkey, Aragachi said that he would travel on Sunday to Moscow and Vladimir Putin for serious consultations, citing Iran and Russia's strategic partnership. In statements relayed by Russian state-run news agencies, the Kremlin strongly condemned the U.S.'s attacks on Iran on Sunday, calling Mr. Trump's decision to carry them out irresponsible and a violation of international law that would significantly increase the risk of a broader war in the Middle East. Now, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that he was gravely alarmed by the use of force by the United States, saying there is a growing risk that this conflict could rapidly get out of control with catastrophic consequences for civilians in the region and the world. This is what he said in a post on social media. He said, I call on member states to de escalate. There is no military solution. The only path forward is diplomacy. Now, both the Houthi rebels in Yemen and Hamas have condemned the U.S. strikes. The Houthis vowed to support Iran in its fight against the Zionist and American aggression. In a statement on Sunday, the Houthi Political Bureau called on Muslim nations to join the jihad and resistance option as one front against the Zionist American arrogance, they say. This is all a whole mess. And I want you all to pay attention because Trump is absolutely playing very dangerous and nefarious games. And he's sitting here trying to justify his actions. But there are going to be consequences. And he is going to cause even more losses of life. Okay? With that all being said, you all drop me a comment to let me know what you think, because I think this is absolutely deplorable. Okay, so you all heard that, and I'm going to give you the latest updates, okay, that have been coming through. Now, Kane, a Virginia Democrat, said the act violated the U.S. Constitution. But now, don't we all know by now that President Trump does not give a damn about the U.S. Constitution? I believe we already know that he's made that, in fact, abundantly clear. Okay? They go on to say the United States, hold on just a second. More updates are coming through. Okay, they said the United States should not be in an offensive war against Iran without a vote from Congress. Now, this is what Kane says, saying the Constitution is completely clear on that. And I am so disappointed that the president has acted so prematurely. Well, we all know why he's acting prematurely, because he's getting money. He's been funded, and we know where he's getting that money from. Okay, Kane said that he would force a floor vote in the Senate this week on a resolution that would require a vote ahead of military action against Iran. This is the United States jumping into a war of choice at Donald Trump's urging, without any compelling national security interest for the United States to act in this way. Okay, particularly without a debate and vote in Congress, he added. I told y'all this is all crazy. But then again, so is Trump. Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz called on Iran's leader to enter negotiations and not to take any further action that could destabilize the region. Now, in a joint statement after holding talks Sunday, they said, "We will continue our joint diplomatic efforts to diffuse tensions and ensure the conflict does not intensify and spread further." The three leaders stressed that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon and can no longer pose a threat to regional security, and affirmed support for Israel's security, but stopped short of endorsing the American strikes. Just the day before the U.S. struck, top diplomats from the three countries and the European Union met Iran's foreign minister in an attempt to find a diplomatic way to end the conflict with Israel and ease tensions over Tehran's nuclear program. Now, this update came in 21 seconds ago. Okay, Hezbollah condemns the U.S. strikes on Iran. The Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah condemned the U.S. strikes on Iran in a statement Sunday, but did not threaten to join in Tehran's retaliation. They say the blatant deceit and deception practiced by the U.S. President Donald Trump, driven by illusions of control and arrogance, confirms that the United States of America, along with the tyrants of arrogance, is a threat to the security and the stability of the Islamic Republic. This is what they said in the statement, further saying this proves to the entire world that America is the official sponsor of terrorism and does not recognize international conventions, humanitarian laws, pledges, or obligations. The United States considers Hezbollah to be a terrorist group. It called for Arab and Islamic countries and the free peoples of the world to stand with Iran, and for the United Nations and international and legal bodies, especially the International Atomic Energy Agency, to shoulder their responsibilities regarding the dangerous aggression. This is all so nefarious, honey. What has Trump gotten us into? Now, they say several close U.S. allies urged to return to the negotiating table in the wake of strikes on Iran. Some countries and groups in the region, including those that support Iran, condemned the move while also urging de-escalation. Okay? Now, here's a look at some of the reactions from governments and officials around the world. Please pay attention. The United Nations. Now, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that he was gravely alarmed by the use of force by the United States. Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who serves as deputy head of President Vladimir Putin's Security Council, said several countries were prepared to supply Tehran with nuclear weapons. Are y'all hearing this? To supply them with nuclear weapons. Now, he didn't specify which countries, but said the U.S. attack caused minimal damage and would not stop Tehran from pursuing nuclear weapons. Now, the European Union's top diplomat said Iran must not be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, but she urged those involved in the conflict to show restraint. Now, let's talk about Latin America, because left-wing Latin American governments expressed fierce opposition to the U.S. strikes. And then let's not leave out the Vatican. Okay, I find this also egregious. What do you all think about what Trump is doing? Do you all think that Trump has just lost his mind, that he is in fact doing too much, that he is just taking matters too far? And what has driven him to come to this? And then he doesn't think that he needs to have anything to do with Congress as far as them agreeing to this. He just took it upon himself. Okay, but anyway, let's talk about what the Vatican has to say, because Pope Leo XIV made a strong appeal for peace during his Sunday prayer and St. Peter's Square, calling for international diplomacy to silence the weapons. Okay, so do you all hear this? Do you all hear this? Trump has clearly gone off the rails. He is absolutely unhinged as far as I'm concerned. Okay? As far as I'm concerned. Mm, mm, mm. Let me see if there's any more updates before I roll out of here. They struck 3 sites in Iran early Sunday, inserting itself into Israel's effort to destroy Iran's nuclear program in a risky gambit to weaken a longtime foe. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also warned against Iranian attacks on countries in the region that host American military forces. What does he expect? He thinks there's not going to be consequences and repercussions. He thinks these people are just going to take this lying down. I find it absolutely nefarious, okay, to say the least. With that all being said, listen, we all better be prayed up. We all better be hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Because here we go with Trump doing exactly what I knew he was going to do. I told you all after that fool was elected that he was going to lead us right into the path of World War III. I also told you all that no matter what he did, he was going to make for darn sure that he started a war with Iran. Okay? And then he wants to bring up General Soleimani, acting as though this man was so nefarious that he had to have this man taken out. Well, we're going to see how it all pans out. And like they said, this won't be Trump's children. This won't be any of his sons going to war, risking their lives. This will be the lives or the children of the American people. Okay? This is what's going to happen. And Trump doesn't care. He doesn't give a darn about putting American lives in danger, in harm's way. All right. Leon said, "You called it, Queen." Thank you, beloved. I absolutely did. This is a sad day. And I do believe that Trump is going to live to regret this. All right. Now he's sitting up there bragging and acting like America, just did what they needed to do. And this is the strongest power in the world. But at the end of the day, there's going to be some consequences. Who knows what's going to happen? What if they attack our power grid? Okay. You all remember your lifelines. Make sure you're buying water every time you go to the store. Make sure you have your flashlights, first aid kits, everything that you need, generators. Don't forget you can get solar powered generators for like about $250 if I'm not mistaken. Make sure that you have people that you can barter with for the things that you need. Have your non-perishable food items and all of that, because who knows exactly how this is going to pan out. And you see, beloveds, for those of you who may think, well, Queen's been saying all this stuff since 2020. When's anything going to happen? Well, there's always a quiet before the storm, beloveds. And I told you all that this was coming, okay? I told you all this November, as a matter of fact, Thanksgiving Day of 2020, okay? I told you while everyone's out here celebrating the various holidays, there is something looming ahead, okay, in a few years from now that's going to plunge us possibly into darkness, famine, and who knows what else. At the end of the day, this is also sad. Everybody stay prayed up. Keep your heads on the swivel, because at the end of the day, Trump is trying to take us straight to hell, okay? Because he is, in fact, the devil incarnate. With that all being said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And again, let me apologize for the audio issues. You all know that no matter what, I have to get this information out to you all by hook or by crook. Okay, Punchy says power grid will certainly go out. Okay, that is absolutely something we should be concerned about, beloved. Swift says forget Christmas. Exactly. Didn't I tell you all that we might have to cancel Christmas? Some of y'all probably thought I was crazy. Okay, but with that all been said, I love you all to life. I'm going to keep you updated on what's going on. And each one teach one. We grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. We need to especially be doing that now, okay? Because in fact, Satan is at the wheel. With that being said, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got